And we started losing a lot of
Hard
stuff.
Are they hiring? You wouldn't know.
All right, thanks everyone for coming today. What we want to do today is go over our hiring process from a New Avenues perspective. There's been some changes lately, so I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. So what we're going to go over today is first we're going to go over our internal hiring procedure, because there's been some confusion with that with people who are applying for internal positions. So we want to go over the process for that. Then we're going to get into the hiring process, sending out applications, managers' responsibilities once they get applications and that sort of thing. And then we'll get into the onboarding process, which Brittany will go over as to exactly what you guys as managers need to know as to what you need to do and what Brittany will do for the onboarding process. So what I first want to go over is our internal hiring procedure. I gave you guys a handout for the internal hiring procedure. It's also up here on the PowerPoint. There you go. Everyone get one? It's not much different from what we've done in the past, but I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page with this. So this is the procedure for internal applicants who want to post for another position within the agency. So first and foremost, in general, we want to make sure that the vacancy list that Tom sends out is posted in all of your homes, as well as wherever you work. Whichever department in which you work, we want to make sure that the vacancy list is posted so everyone can see those positions. The next thing is, in general, employees with 6 months of experience, or 6 months in New Avenues, are typically the only ones eligible to post for internal vacancies. So we've had some people in the past that had only been here for a month and now they're posting for different positions. Well, that doesn't help us because now we're going to have a vacancy where we just hired that person. So typically 6 months is where we want to be at. Those employees who are interested can either send me an email or give me a hard copy of a letter of interest for the position. Now, what I want on that, and of course you want to give that to their current supervisor as well, because you need to let your supervisor know that they're applying for an internal position. In that letter of interest, I want their name, their phone number, their current position, their current supervisor, the location in which they work, the position in which they wish to apply for. That's the easy part. What I really want, I've been getting letters of interest lately. Hi, my name's Frank Foskey and I want this position, please consider me. Well, how do I know you're qualified for that position? So I want a letter of interest with your resume, or their resume, as well as almost like a cover letter stating why they're interested in the position and why they think they are qualified for the position. Okay?
Makes sense.
Once I get that, so they're gonna send it directly to me. Once I get it, I will basically shoot an email to the supervisor of which they are currently at, and I'll shoot the email, the letter of interest, to the hiring manager for the internal position. And then I will schedule the interview with the hiring manager. Once the interview occurs, I will then so once the interview occurs, the hiring manager will decide whether they want this person in the position or not. If they do decide that they want to hire this person for that internal position, they're going to let me know, but it's up to the manager. So if you were the manager who did the interview, it's up to you to give the offer to that internal applicant. Okay? Once the offer is given and it's accepted, you then have to get with the other supervisor where they previously worked and figure out a date as to how you can make this transition work for both parties. We've had some instances in the past where the person wanted to start immediately in their new position, but the old manager had a bunch of vacancies, so they couldn't give them up immediately. The time frame we want to have that happen is not to exceed 1 month. So if someone interviews on May 5th, we want to have them in their new position at least by June 5th. But we got to get with the supervisor to make sure that everyone's on the same page. If you were the hiring manager who did that internal interview, you have to send an email to Human Resources. When I say Human Resources, that's Frank, Norma, and Brittany, notifying us of the acceptance, as well as the previous supervisor. What that does is it triggers HR to then schedule a promotional drug screen if we need to, and it also triggers us to draft a conditional offer letter if it warrants a conditional offer letter. Not all positions warrant an offer letter, but some of them do, depending on what position they're trying to get. So that would be your responsibility from a supervisor's perspective, from an internal hiring perspective. Does that make sense to everybody?
Makes great sense.
So this is the new kind of procedure. This was approved already, so I'll be sending this out in an email form as well to all managers, but this is the procedure we want to follow from here on out. Okay? All right, any questions on that? Maria, did you get one?
No. Bill said this was on YouTube too.
It will be.
Okay.
All right, so that's the internal hiring procedure. I wanted to go over that first. Next, what we want to get into is basically what I named this is perfecting new avenues hiring process. And of course, there's always confusion when we're doing new hires and exactly what the process is for everything. So I want to just go over what the process should be for all of us so we're all kind of on the same page. So I'm going to start with the application process. As you guys know, all the applications typically come through me, and then I review the applications. I typically interview, pre-screen, and then send them to you guys via email. Typically how it's done, okay? There are instances where you guys might get applications from a friend or something like that. If that's the case, that's perfectly fine, but I want you just to send me that application just so I can review it as well, okay? We just want to have all applications kind of in one spot. So if you ever get an application like that, just send it to me as well. As I said, once they are reviewed by me, they're going to be forwarded via email to you as a hiring manager, as well as your director, so Darrell or Robin, okay? Or if you're in day services, that would be Amy, whoever your actual director is, okay? Here's a new process I want to start. Once you receive the application from me via email, I need a response within 5 days. So if you get it on a Monday, that gives you till Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 5 days. I'm not going business days, just 5 days, okay? So I would like just a response just to let me know, hey, I'm interested, I'm going to schedule an interview. I'm not interested, please pass this on to someone else. If you do schedule an interview, tell me. Say, okay, Frank, this person's scheduled for an interview on Thursday, May 15th. So that 5-day window is something new that we're trying out that we never had. We never did like a deadline in the past. But the reason we're doing this is so that we can track our applicants much better. That way good applicants aren't getting lost when I send applicants to whoever, okay? So 5 days is, now obviously you can tell me within 1 day. That's even better. But after 5 days, guess what happens? I'm going to send that app to someone else, and if they want to schedule an interview, and they tell me they're scheduling an interview, so be it. Okay? I don't know any other way to do it.
So that person will lose out then, huh? They decide to say, oh, sorry, I was sick. I was on vacation.
No, obviously, you can let me know. You know, obviously, if you're in a situation like that, let me know. But This is just a process so that we can move quickly in our
Yeah.
process. We've had some instances in the last year and a half since I've been doing this where people sit on applications for 4 weeks. And then I'm like, well, where'd the application go? So this 5-day process is something we're trying out, and this is going to be the new procedure. As I said, if I don't get a response from the hiring manager after 5 days, they will be forwarded on to another manager. Applications still must be approved by directors. So I know Darrell likes to approve applications before or after interviews. Robin does the same thing. She approves the application either before or after you do the interview. Same process still going to happen. So if you want to hire the person, it still needs to be approved by your director. Here is where I want to get into. First of all, any questions or comments about that? Pretty simple, right? Do you guys think 5 days is enough time?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. So 5 days, I think, is more than enough time just to let me know what's going on with that applicant. Here's something new that we're doing as well. So, when you guys do interviews, we want you to use this standardized form that I just passed out. Here's why we're going to this, okay? It's going to be used as a tool to track the applicants, and it's going to generate a larger applicant pool of qualified candidates. I put some directions on the form just so you guys are aware of what I mean and what I'm talking about. And let me pull up that actual form real quick on here, and we'll go over it. So, we want everyone to use this form for all interviews. Notice there's only 5 questions on it, right? Or 6, what is it, 5 or 6 questions? 6 questions. These are not the only questions you can ask. Okay? These are just 6 questions we want you to ask, and we need you to document the answers. Notice then towards the bottom of the page, then there is a spot for additional questions and answers. So there's additional questions and answers below. And obviously you can add a separate page to this, okay? You can ask any questions you want to an extent, and I'll get to that, but it's not just these 6 questions you have to ask. But these 6 questions are just standard questions, gives us an idea of the person, and here's how we want this to work. You do the interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
You use this form, and some of you may have forms you already use, right? You may have questions you already ask. And that's okay, you can still use those. And if not, we can even make some up. But you fill out this form, obviously, during the interview. Once the interview is done, you're not going to know right off the bat whether you want to hire this person or not, right? Maybe you have other candidates, okay? Notice on the top of this page, it says status, okay? It says either hire, no hire, or refer to other home, and then why. If you put hire, that's not a flat out, oh my gosh, I'm going to hire this person right now. If you put hire, just put, and if you're not sure if you're going to hire them, just put, you can put hire, but then put, I'm considering other candidates, but this person is still a possible candidate for my home. Does that make sense?
Possible candidate.
If you are not going to hire them and you know that, put no hire and then tell me why. That could be, well, they're a non-driver and I need a driver. They're a non-med passer and I need a med passer.
They interview poorly.
Or something like that.
So are you saying you want these questions, you want this paper, this form back? With
Yeah, and I'm gonna get to that, yep. If you feel this person is just not a good fit for the agency whatsoever, then you can just put no hire and here's why. If you want, I said that backwards before, didn't I? Refer is where you put non-driver, non-med passer. That's where you're referring them to another home. No hire would mean they're just not a good fit for the agency at all, and this is why. Does that make sense to everyone? Now, here's the deal. I want you guys to get this form back to me within 48 hours after your interview. Why are you laughing at me? You don't think it's possible? You don't think it's possible?
It's not gonna happen.
Well, I'm not saying that, but it's possible. It's very possible.
Anything's possible.
Okay?
You said that.
I'm just laughing because I know I'll forget.
I'm not, I don't have time.
And it's not fit for the agency.
So if they have a ton of red flags that you're seeing, they come in smelling like beer or, you know, it's like letting us know you don't think what it was you saw that made you think, whoa, what's, we don't wanna go anywhere near this person.
Process, but the corporate company is gonna be different.
Right.
Sure. I'm just saying, if you don't think it's a good fit for your home, just tell me why.
I usually do that when I send you back the application.
Yeah, and this is just a standardized form now that I want everyone to do, and this is gonna go in if they're hired, it's gonna go in their file. If you don't hire them, now I can pass along their application plus this form to someone else who wants to hire this person now. So this is a way, again, to generate qualified applicants, and it's a way to document this. This is also part of the EEOC. We have to track applicants. We have to have documentation of people that we interview and reasons as to why we don't hire them. This is where this form comes into play.
Frank,
Wanda, yes.
did my person that I passed on, that we second interviewed work?
So this form is meant so that we can have a bigger pool, so that we don't lose people along the way. Will it work? I don't know. But this is how we have to track our applicants. So does this make sense to everybody? Basically, do you think 48 hours is more than enough time to get that back to me?
Yes.
Scan it, email it, fax it, and you're faxing it or emailing it back to me and Brittany. And I would also suggest putting your manager on there as well. I need to reiterate, these are not the only questions you can ask, okay? You can ask other questions. If you normally ask, how do you make a grilled cheese sandwich, and that's one of your top questions you ask, continue to ask that. But put those questions on this form as well, where it says additional questions and answers. Add that to this form and let me know that's what you asked during your interview. Okay?
And Frank touched on that we have to do this for EEOC. The whole point there, we have to track every applicant that we get, and we're supposed to be tracking the reasons why we do and don't hire people. And documenting these interview questions shows that that the hiring process, there's a fairness to it. That if you are interviewing with New Avenues, everyone's gonna have the same set of questions asked of them, be given the same opportunity. And so we're supposed to have this in our files for every single person we talk to. So it's not it will help us with routing the applications and getting you guys better applicants, but it's also a requirement. I mean, it's not coming from us.
No, well, when did this start? Because I'm like, we just not getting it. When did this start?
It's a new process.
Oh.
It's a new process, so we can be in compliance and doing everything right.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
I mean,
these
I
interview
have this
questions
question.
that
So when
That's all
you
you're saying.
when you pre-screen, are you asking these questions too?
What I typically ask when I pre-screen are things like, what's your experience in the field? Why do you want to work in this field? You know, what are your certifications? Do you have med pass or do you have CPI,
So
CPR,
any
first aid, that sort of stuff?
questions?
So it's a lot of these questions already.
Okay,
And of course, if they don't get by me, then
we
they're
can't
not
get
gonna
them.
come to you anyway. So yeah, some of the similar questions.
Okay.
Back to the directions on here, I put this form as a cover page so that everyone would be kind of aware of what I want in this form. And I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything as I was kind of paraphrasing everything. Be specific as to your reason why under status here. So if you are considering for hire, if you're not considering for hire, if you're referring to someone else, tell me why, please. Okay?
So you prefer this form other than my emails I've been sending to you when I send you applications back?
Yes. And this is only if you interview them. Now, if you get an application from me and you're not interested, you don't have to do this form. But if you interview them, then yes, we need this form. Okay? Don't leave any questions incomplete. Fill in all the answers to each question that you ask. Write down your additional questions that you ask and write down their answers to those questions. And as I said, if you are asking additional questions, which I suggest you do, obviously, remember that we cannot discriminate or ask questions pertaining to color, sex, age, creed, religion, race, or national origin, you know, due to us being an equal opportunity employer. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that if we have a driving position, that we can't ask them, are you under age 25? Plus, that's on the application anyway, so we're going to know that. So keep in mind, there are times where we do have to ask a question specific to age because of our driving insurability standards. But other than that, we would never ask a person their age, ask them if they have any kids, ask them if they're married, anything like that. We can't ask any of those specific questions. All right, any questions on this form in general?
Frank,
Yes.
back to my one person that we were just dealing with,
Uh-huh.
where I kind of thought she had some kind of disability.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I mean, but I came to you, but
Mm-hmm.
how do we get around that?
Just because someone has a disability doesn't mean they're disqualified from the job. What we have to make sure is that they're able to do the job as intended. And that's the types of questions we would ask. Do you have the ability to do this for your particular position? We don't want to bring up the fact that they have a disability. We just want to ask questions to make sure they can do the job that is asked of them to do. You have anything to add to that, Norma?
You put it very well. I mean, if you see someone who, a perfect example, we had an employee who had problems with her hands and had braces on her hands. And when if she were interviewing for Zebra Presser, a very legitimate question would be, can you perform a forced relaxation? Can you lift this amount? You can ask that to anyone. I mean, you don't have to specifically say, I see that your hands may have a problem, but it's relevant to the job to say, these are things that would be required, can you perform these functions? And then they tell you if they can or if they can't.
They normally say, yeah, that doesn't mean that they can do it.
Right.
Right.
Because
So you
that's what the
basically just
problem
pass-
was.
Yeah.
You basically just pass it on and say not interested,
Well,
Or not.
another-
able to perform it, or just not interested.
What you would do if you, let's say someone tells you they can do it and you're not sure, but you get them, have them sign their job description, which would just, as soon as they start, which describes the requirements of the job. Then if they turn around on day 2 and are telling you, I can't perform this, then HR can help you because they've falsified the
Well,
information.
they normally don't do that. You just find yourself in a position for 4 months later, still trying to teach them how to do the job, which is not that easy as you
Right.
explaining it. Because, I mean, it could be physically, it could be a comprehension thing, you stuck with this staff.
And that's a harder situation.
Right.
Well,
The other thing we've been able to do before is move someone possibly as an accommodation to a supported living home. Well, I use that as an example, but a home that has much lower physical requirements. So.
And
go
that
ahead,
goes
Brittany.
back to, you know, if you don't feel they're a perfect fit for your home, guess what?
you're not interested.
Then you don't hire them. So, again, we're not discriminating by any means, but if you feel they can't do what
Right.
is expected of the job, then they're not a good fit for your home. And that's part of the reason why we're doing all this, so that we can figure that out to the best of our ability.
If you feel that person might be able to do the job and be well with the individuals, it's one thing, but comprehension or writing might be
Oh,
another
yes.
thing. What a lot of jobs do and a lot of places do, they'll give you an overview of what is required of this job. And they'll say, this is required. And if you say, yes, I can fill out these HPC sheets or I don't know, whatever sheets you guys have to fill out, and I can read this person's thing and know exactly how to implement what they need, and they don't do it, by you showing them to it and they signing something, which is their job description saying they can, that's also a form of falsification. So the best thing for you to do in the interview process is show them everything that the job requires. And also, Daryl made a good point. Look at how they answer those questions on the back, because we've had people who might not be so well with reading and writing, but they're excellent with our residents and our individuals. You know, they're awesome at what they do. They just might need a little help with the writing part. So, you know, you have to figure out and use your best judgment as to how y'all can work with them. Like, I don't have time to help them with the reading and writing part, so they're not a good fit for my house, but we might be able to refer them to somewhere else. So I would say just be more in depth or know, pinpoint exactly what you guys need for your job settings, your houses or whatever. And that way, you know, you will know they're good for this, but not for me, or they're perfect, I can deal with it. Frank, I want to hire this person, or whatever you have to do. I would just say be more in depth and, you know, ask the questions that pertain to your setting. And then you'll know that way differently.
And then you send the application and I'm not interested.
And then you can send it in and say, not for me, or you can say, I can work with this person for me.
Because it's time consuming.
Yeah,
We
it is,
know what
it
we
is.
want and what the job application is.
Yeah.
Or, you
And
know,
that's
get-
hard when people want the job and they say, oh, I
Come
can do it, I
on,
can do
say.
it, and they really can't,
But
but
I
they
can
might
physically
be.
see you having problems going up and down the stairs. How you gonna clean my baseboards and my walls and do laundry from the basement to the third floor?
Exactly.
I'm not interested.
And that's why you could just say, this person is good with the individuals, but not for what I need.
Right.
They might be good in day services because they
Because
can't
they
do all of
can't do
that.
that.
Exactly,
You're
so we
right.
might wanna pass
So
it
we'll
on
pass it
to
on.
Larry or Deb White or something like that. So if you guys see those signs, like this person is good here, not here, fill it all the way out. And then send it to who you think would be best, well, Frank, and who
Send
else
it
you
to
think
Frank.
it would.
Yeah, and you know,
You're
that's
right.
that's the point, you know, you guys have all done this in this room. If I send you an app and you don't want it, just tell me, and then I'll send it to someone else, and then if they're not interested and no one's interested, then we make our notes and we put it, you know, back into the pile.
But I don't feel comfortable indicating my reasons I'm not interested in that kind of way. 'Cause you start talking about being discriminatory. Because,
If you're not interested off the bat,
okay,
just tell me, just say not interested. You don't have to tell me why.
yeah, I'm not.
I mean,
looking at it right
don't get me
because-
wrong, I want you to tell me some reasons why you're not interested, but if you're not interested, just tell me no.
Okay.
But the more important thing is if you interview someone and then you're not interested, now I need to know how that interview went and as to why you weren't interested and why you didn't want to hire them. If you just get the app and you look at it and you're like, oh, it doesn't have the experience I want, just tell me. And that's where the 5-day thing comes into play. That way I can have time to send that off to someone else.
Have you been receiving a better batch of applications? Because I know it's not an age thing, it's just this aura of applicants. So have you been receiving, like,
Better one.
yeah, I just, trying to see what's out here.
In the past week or so, actually, yes. But in the past couple months, as you know, we haven't had a whole lot of quality applicants.
I have two questions. My other question is, what's the process of the PRN status? Because I'm in need of PRN status. I'm just trained a couple of staff to fill different positions on the house. It's difficult when you have, put more pressure on your staff that you have, because other staff is going on vacation, so it's not fair, because the workload and the, rate of pay is not averaging out, so you try not to burn your staff out. So what's the process of how to get PRN staff?
I mean, the process is gonna be the same. That's the whole point of this, is that so that we can generate quality applicants. And if let's say LA interviews someone and she interviews them for a 40-hour-a-week position, and then they say, well, I don't want 40, I want 20. So then she sends this form back and says, well, this person only wanted 20 hours. That's when I can send it to you, who needs PRN staff. And the hard thing with PRN staff, to be honest with you, Maria, is majority, 90% of the people that come and fill out apps, guess what they want?
Full-time.
They want full-time. So when I say, well, I can hire you as PRN, they say, well, no, I need regular scheduled hours. Now, you will get some people who just want part-time or PRN, but those are few and far between. So that's the issue with finding PRN people.
Because I thought at one point in time, HR was hiring that PRN staff, and just sending an email, I think I sent Jane an email before, I don't know if that process is still going on. And I wanted to know, that was gonna be one of my questions today, what?
No, I mean, it's, to my knowledge, it's never been a process.
I think she talked about it, but it
I
wasn't.
think Jane did mention that y'all was gonna hire a group of PRN people.
I mean, that's our
to
goal,
fill
we want to. Don't get me wrong, we
Okay.
want to.
So I didn't know if y'all were doing that, or did that
I want to
happen?
generate, I don't, trust
Or
me.
is it not gonna happen no more because she's gone, because I
No.
know how different things occur?
That's the whole point of all this, is to generate a larger pool so that we can have more people to hire for PRN and that sort of thing. So this is the beginning stage of that process, so that
Okay,
we'll
so I need to
have,
go with, the executives gave me, if LA hired somebody, then you can say, yes, okay.
And if you're wanting to hire some PRNs and say you don't have any openings at your house, so Frank's not like calling you saying, hey, do you
yeah,
need
she already let me know, but,
Yeah, you would let him know you want them, and then, you know from there.
yeah, I mean, that's the process we're trying to get to. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we want to get there.
Because I know different stuff is said at different times, and I just wanted to know what was going on now.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where we want to get to, absolutely. So I will put this standardized form on our new drive, by the way, is the N drive instead of the I drive, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that yet. But it'll be on the N/I drive. I'll also email this form out to everyone so that everyone has this form available to them. Any other questions or comments about the actual form or how the interview process? All right, so as I said, 48 hours is the time frame for that form. Now, here's where, again, this is more manager responsibilities. Once the applicant is approved by the director and you make the conditional offer of employment, so you have to make the conditional offer of employment to anyone you want to hire. You guys are aware of that, right?
Right.
So now this is where Brittany comes into play.
Oh, that's where Brittany stopped.
So, basically, after you guys have, called that person and made a conditional offer saying, I wanna give you the job based on you meeting all of our background checks. All background checks mean registries, BCIs, drug screens, the whole nine. And, Robin or Dar usually sends applicant approved pending checks, meaning the same thing as what I said. Notify me and Frank via email saying that the application has been accepted. Applicant has been accepted for new hire and all of that good stuff. I can then immediately check their driving record. If you say I need to check their record before you even offer employment, I cannot do that. That's a form of discrimination because you can say, well, I'm not going to hire you because you can't drive for me. So you don't want to do that. That can cause complications. And also when you're telling me I hired Gracie Lou Freebush, give me her hours, her work location, her position title, and I want the best contact information from you guys so I can give it to them. Because the one thing I hate is when they say, well, how do I contact my supervisor? Or they didn't give me a number to call them, and I don't have to do CPR or CPI this week with Frank, so what am I supposed to do? So I want them to have all the information that they need so you guys can transition them from NEIS to in you guys' home or wherever, office, wherever they're going to be working. We give them a conditional letter, and Jane made this conditional letter which states everything. And they sign it, they get a copy, we get a copy, and it goes into their personnel file. And the conditional letter states that you are saying that you can pass all registries, all backgrounds, all everything. And if they can't, their employment can be terminated. So if they say, I have a record for theft and it was, 10 years ago, we come to find out, no, it was 3 years ago, and you went to jail for it, we could terminate your employment. Okay? If it's a drug screen and you say, hey, can you pass a drug test? You can ask these people if they can pass a drug test in the interview process. And if they come back dirty, where there is marijuana or methamphetamines or whatever, we all know that, employment can be terminated. Also, please tell your new hires, if UH or wherever we send them to whatever diagnostics place, they might call and say, you tested, for me, I have headaches. I have to take headache medicines. That's a controlled substance. They called me and said, you need to provide us with your prescription to let us know that you are allowed to take this drug. I had to go back up to UH and show them my prescription. Tell them that, because they're calling, and if they don't get a response, it's going to come back positive, saying you tested positive for codeine or something like that, okay? They have to, and you have to tell them that, because it's happened. Go ahead, Marvin.
But then too, they ask you those questions on there when you go, don't they?
No, they don't. They do not ask you that.
You said tell them. Who's gonna tell?
You can tell your new applicant if you take
That you want any control substance.
any controlled
Yeah.
So
substance.
that should come from HR, right? When they do their preliminary,
Ma'am,
when they're here.
I tell them that, but you know what? Sometimes they say they didn't hear it. Sometimes, but just tell them that, because they're probably calling during NEIS week. They might even call 2 or 3 days after NEIS is over. And they will, if you do not get an answer from them, if I get a positive test back, I'm going to say, LA with Norma on it. I'm going to tell Norma, and Norma's going to say, LA, hey, they tested positive for, whatever controlled substance was on the stick.
And then at that point, I will tell them or ask them, is there a need? Because I have not.
Well, you don't need to ask them about their medications. What you should tell them is, after you take your drug test, just tell them after you take your drug test, pay attention to your voicemail, and if that drug testing site calls you, return their phone call.
Yes.
You don't have to get into anything about their medicines. Just tell them, if you get voicemails from the drug testing location, it means you need to call them back.
Because
That again should come from HR.
well,
And
no,
it does.
they'll
It's just, you guys can tell
Yeah, they
them
know.
too.
they'll contact me, but if I can't get in contact, or like I said, it's been past the NEIS date where they say pending review and they finally get back to the person, you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying we're going to cover all grounds, because we don't want
Let me
this to
ask you,
happen.
when they're
Yeah.
scheduled for the drug screen, aren't they informed that they are to take any and all medications that they are on, wait, let me finish,
No.
to the site?
Not
I've been
anymore.
told by
Oh, okay, because I was like, I thought they
and
did.
It's
We're
a
with the
HIPAA change.
Okay.
we use Quest and UH now.
Okay.
They have both advised me to tell everyone, do not bring your prescriptions with you. Only tell us if we ask you.
Because they have no need to know the whole list of what you take.
Alright.
Like, we have no need to
Unless,
know.
well, no, I
Yeah.
mean, but the drug screen location, it's the same thing,
Yeah.
it's HIPAA. If you walk in and say, here's my prescription, I know I'm gonna test positive for this, they won't take the prescription, they'll tell you, after you take the test, if you test positive for anything, the MRO will call you. Because until you test positive, privacy-wise, they have no need to know your medicines.
Right.
Then if you test positive, they'll either get your pharmacy's phone number or have you send a copy of the prescription or a copy of the label from the bottle, they'll get the verification.
So
then.
if they test positive at the site, they contact you and they tell you so-and-so came back with a positive and
Right.
whatever.
No.
Then
No, they won't tell us any, they'll just say, we're trying to contact Jane
So
Doe.
they don't tell you they contact the person.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
They
And, like, if
only
they're-
tell us if there's no they'll tell us if it's being reported positive. So if they make X number of attempts to contact the person and can't, then it will be reported positive.
Yeah.
If they contact the person and say, you have Adderall in your system, do you have a valid prescription? And you provide, and the employee provides the prescription, then the test will come back negative because they haven't tested positive for anything that they weren't supposed to be on. So we'll never know that that process had
That's
happened.
between them.
Yeah.
That's between them and the drug screen location.
only reason why I'm telling you guys that is because people will say, they didn't call me, but really, you know, people say, I don't answer numbers I don't know.
Right.
And that's why I'm covering, because this happened before where after NEIS is over, and I'm saying, well, calling drug places like, I didn't get the results back. Oh, we called them 3 times, I called them again, and then they send it and they're already working in you guys' houses or with your
Right.
people, and you guys end up losing somebody. So that's why I'm telling you guys, just be clear, like, you know, if you see a random number or a voicemail, answer it while you are in your new hire process, your NEIS process, because you never know what could happen. And we rather catch it early in the stages before we paying them and paying them and paying them, and then you end up losing a 40-hour position person.
Okay, then I have a problem with that. This is like a big bug there.
It is.
The UH is calling this person, and this person is not answering. We don't know anything about that. When that person is working for us, we're thinking everything is squared
Because
away.
Yeah.
you had gave us
So
the
then,
go.
Yeah.
so we need to find a process in between that to get with somebody to call the staff and say, have you heard from UH?
That's what I do. If I'm there here, and that's what I do. Now, if it's something, and this is very rare, like a 0.5% that happens, but I just say, during the hiring, the new hire process, NEIS, tell them to answer all phone calls. Because when they see that 481-1907 number pop up, sometimes they say, well, I didn't know who that was, I didn't answer. I said, I've been calling you 3 times.
Yeah, I don't
leaving
think they need to
voicemail."
start. I think at new
Right.
employment service, you need to say, you do not start
Oh,
until
they-
we get an okay. I mean, they shouldn't
Yeah.
come in our house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's not gonna come to
we-
our
and
house.
Always
this-
got
I'm
the
saying
results
this-
by the end
yeah.
of NEIS.
Right,
It's
so
a
that's what I'm saying. So
0.5,
we
this
should
is
never
0.5.
have them and worry
This
about them working, and then it comes back that they
This,
didn't.
this is a 0.5% chance that this could happen, but I'm saying, tell them to answer all phone calls, all random numbers during the NEIS week, because if I'm contacting them, Norma's contacting them, or like I said, UH or somebody, and they say, well, I don't answer numbers I don't know. They need to answer them because
They
it could be
answer
their
when they learn
manager.
their job.
Yeah,
It could
they
be
do.
whatever, and that's why I'm just telling you guys, please answer all numbers you don't
might
know.
They answered it when they
Respond
wanted their
to voice.
job.
That's what I'm
That
trying to say.
we
I
still
gave
in
the drug
existence.
screen as an example because it happened once. Okay, I don't want
They
y'all to
gonna
get
answer.
crazy. Please don't get crazy on it, no. Because trust me, when I tell
I'll
y'all,
set them my way then.
when I brief them on NEIS and what their start date is, most of the time they have no questions because I go over it so thoroughly. So when they're briefed, they say NEIS starts at 9 a.m. on whatever day. They know that. They know who their supervisor is. The reason why I need to know their hours they work in their position so they can know their rate of pay. So when they get to know their rate of pay, they have no questions, no concerns. The only thing they ask, do I get raises every week or whatever? Answer is, of course, no. And then their work location. They might say, where do I work? I might say, you work at North Vine. Well, where is that? Technically, I don't know. But all I can do is give them the address and give them the supervisor's number so they can tell them exactly how to get to North Vine or wherever they're supposed to be. So and then I will always let you guys know if something weird comes back, something isn't right, or if this person never showed up for NEIS, or this person's not answering my phone calls and they didn't show up for their NEIS process, which is fingerprints, drug screen, X, Y, and Z. So the minute you guys give me your information, I can get them in immediately and we can get the ball rolling. If there's any special conditions like an emergency NEIS or something like that, please let that be known to me. Because you might say it's May 5th now, and you might say, I want this person to be emergency NEIS. I'm thinking, if you don't tell me that, I'm going to have them ready to go for the regular NEIS that starts the 19th of this month. So please let me know everything you want, need, etc. for that person. And then, like I said, diplomas, that's the big thing now. Direct deposit is it's always a big thing. I would tell people when I call them, bring me your high school diploma, driver's license, social security number, and social security card or whatever, and what else? Direct deposit information. They have to bring that during their appointment. If they don't bring it, you have 3 days, 72 hours to get me all the information that you need to start, do your paperwork and everything. Because I got to get it to Chris upstairs, and it has to be processed. Diplomas, you cannot, I tell them, you'll not be able to start your shift if we do not have your high school diploma. And when they ask why, because we do MedPass, so it's a requirement now. Direct deposit, a lot of people come in and say, I don't do banks, I don't do bank accounts. We offer NetSpend or any other prepaid card, so they get all the information. There's no reason for them to say I wasn't told. I let them sit at my desk and fill out the NetSpend. Complete the NetSpend account in my office, print it out for them, and I have a copy, they have a copy. So I'm very flexible. There's no reason for them to have an excuse of X, Y, and Z. And if you don't give me a high school diploma within 72 hours, HR is notified, managers are notified, and the director is notified, so Darla Robin. And they will know, and then you guys will go from there making a decision as to what you want to do with that person, because we don't have their information. So then I release it to the wolves. So any questions, comments, or concerns? All right, then I'm done. Anything else, Frank?
Anyone have any other questions, comments about anything that we didn't talk about? From a hiring process, onboarding process, application, recruiting process, anything like that? No? Anyone have anything for Norma?
Yeah, but not pertaining to this meeting.
Okay.
Yes, she brought her.
All right.
Okay, I do have a question concerning that. Some staff have brought their high school diplomas and old staff, high school diplomas in late. But we don't have a RN no more to input the information. Now, how would this go, say she expired before they get a new RN? What's going on with that?
We're working on finding an alternative. So in your staff's example, I looked her up, she's good till August. We should have something in place by then. Whether it be that we have a clinical director who can administer that, the database, or if we hire someone or get a contract with someone to just administer our MedPass, or if we can get one of our RNs trained for it. So we're looking for options so that even if we don't have a clinical director right away, we can stay compliant with MedPass.
And I'm sorry to just jump in, but since you mentioned med class, so basically, if I have a staff that expired May 12th, I'm just out of luck. She cannot pass medications until it's renewed, basically, right? There's nothing I can do. There's nothing nobody can do until we get it passed.